I was commissioned into the army because everybody went in the army. I was a second lieutenant in the Royal West African Frontier Force, which was stationed in Accra, Ghana, which back then was the Gold Coast. So the regiment was the Gold Coast Regiment, a very distinguished regiment of Africans who during World War II were known that, communication wasn't quite the same as we have now. So they were runners. They would run and take messages. And they were known for their speed and their ability to take messages. But it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And up to then, I'd done whatever I had done, mostly stage management. The last job I had was stage managing the Aylesbury Repertory Company, which meant taking the sets off the train from London, putting them in a pile somewhere, taking the one on set stage and putting it on the train and then bringing it in, setting it up. And you had to open the next day in front of an audience. The actors were rehearsing somewhere else. That was mainly what I was doing. So when I came back, I was very upset because I tried to put on the clothes that I wore before I went into the army, and it was a disaster. And I felt so like a fish out of water. But one person, a lady by the name of Hazel Vincent Wallace, had promised me a job in a theatre as a stage manager. And I look forward to that throughout my time in Africa and other places. And when I went down to Leatherhead, where she was, I went in and she told me what the job was. They needed a new switchboard installing and they needed this, that, and the other. I said, yes, I can do that. I mean, I'm, 20 years old or something ridiculous. And she said, and she quoted how much she was going to pay me, which was ludicrous. That's the only word I can say. And she was taking full advantage of the situation because jobs were, after World War II, every young man who was an actor or who wanted to be an actor came back and flooded the repertory theatres and flooded the provincial. There was getting a job in was very difficult. And that's when I applied at that point to Chesterfield and became stage manager there and eventually the chief electrician of that theatre for a year. But everything I did was involved with the theatre. And when you do repertory, you're not just, you play parts. If there's a delivery man who brings something, you get the part, and that every single play that we did was just wonderful, and many of them were the classics. From there, fade in, fade out, as they say, a ridiculous expression. I ended up at the Oxford Repertory Company as an actor for the first time. That was the first time with Michael Bryant, who I believe now is at the Royal Shakespeare Theatre. Michael Rawlinson, a lot of wonderful actors there. And we did a Jean Anouilh play where I had to kiss Michael in front of the entire audience. Very French, the whole thing. And I have great memories of that. And from there, basically, I went into the army for 2 years. But when you come out of the army and you're in this limbo, and Hazel Vincent Wallace has turned you down by virtue of what she was offering, I went home and I didn't know what to do. I was lost, completely lost. I got myself an agent called Derek Marr, and Derek Marr got me a part. He got me a part in a movie, that's right. It was in Freud with Montgomery Clift. And I met John Huston, and John Huston said, yes, I want him to play it. And he went off to Ireland to play golf. Now, the production company was now came to my agent, to Derek, to make a deal. And he said, well, in television, this is what you make when you do television. So if it's a film, we can multiply that by 7 because it's a week. And that will be your figure. So he did, and they accepted it. But when the first check came, I discovered that they'd accepted that as my daily rate. So I suddenly, my worth went way up through no real abilities of my own, but I was in a very, very comfortable position. And from the, I did Freud, then I went to with Peter Ustinov into the Mediterranean and did Billy Budd, Terence Stamp's first movie, wonderful sailing around and seeing the Nichivo, which was the yacht that Peter had trying to bring the lunch out, and in a sea that was, we didn't eat lunch that day. But just wonderful memories of Alicante and that whole time doing Billy Budd. I did The Long and the Short and the Tall, which Peter Toole did on stage, but they thought he'd never make a film actor. And so he didn't get the part. Lawrence Harvey did. Just movie after movie. I went under contract with the Rank Organization. That was something else. I worked with Clive Donner on his first movie, which was The Secret Place, with Belinda Lee, who was subsequently killed by a driver in Italy who turned out to direct a film that I did in Yugoslavia years later. I mean, so all of this jumble of wonderful career, with periods of sheer terror when you're out of work. And Catherine, my wife, Catherine, has always said to me, don't worry, something better will come along. And hopefully, and it did. But my main thrust was in television and television film. Movies, I've done some great movies, but not many. And when I look at the screen and I watch actors and I see guys who quit because they think they've done enough television and they should become movie stars, and they fall flat on their faces. I think there are people that work better in television than in film, and make a career out of television wisely, which I think I've done, because I work well with a television camera. I'm happy coming into people's rooms once a week and behaving the way I do in various characters. But I think predominantly I would say I'm a television actor. I love movies and I love the theater.